medical sales folks out there in the world. Just got done at getting a little bit of work done at Starbucks. Anybody out there in the medical sales world? What's up, mama? Hola. Just hopping in this little race car. Just finished up some work at a Starbucks, heading home. So, yeah, that's all I got. Don't know if anybody's going to jump on this Insta Live. We shall see. Oh, we got one person in the house. What up, what up? Andreas Zarita? I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. What's up, what's up? Andrea Zarita. I'm butchering your name, sorry. What's your story? Are you in MedSales? Or are you trying to get into medical sales? Tiff Webbin 0507. What up, what up? What's Tiff Webb? What's your story? Are you in medical sales or are you trying to get into medical sales? Dylan Accord in the house. What's up, guy? Haven't seen you in a while. What's the latest with you? It's Colby, just for the record, not Corey. That's all right, though. I'll let it slide. Just entering medical sales. Okay, cool. What are you doing in medical sales? Like which company, which area of medical sales? eFowl 14. What up, what up? LMAO Dylan. Come on, dude. We freaking talked on here and you can't even get my name right. Amateur. Somehow, and you say you just got a job offer? You can't remember people's names? That's crazy. Congrats, man. That's freaking awesome. Good for you. What, like, can you say what it is and who it's with, or is that too much info at this point? eFowl 14, thoughts on 1099 versus corporate opportunities. So the majority of my career have actually been a 1099 independent contractor, not a W-2 employee. So, like, generally speaking, I don't have any issues with it. And it's the day-to-day is pretty much the same. I guess the only caveat I would say there is it depends on which products you're selling as a 1099. Like, I would only want to do the 1099 role, assuming that you would be working for the exclusive distributor of any given company's products. You don't want to be in a situation, ideally, where you're selling somebody's products, but they have multiple 1099 reps in your same area that could be selling the same product. So just make sure that make sure that you are the only one selling those products in that area. If you have the exclusivity, or your company has the exclusivity, then by all means, it's essentially the exact same thing. Like, the job really doesn't look any different. Diagnostics, calling on all specialties. Diagnostics. Cool. Good for you. Cool with the K was my choice. Yeah, come on, Mom. Come on, come on, come on. Thanks, man. Going into sales, man. Going into sales. With Penske on the corporate leasing side, selling remote. Nah, man, like that. Yeah, like, I don't care what you do. Like, as long as you're happy with the and you got a good opportunity, go for it. Good for you, man. eFowl 14, does that answer your question on 1099 versus corporate? Assuming that you have, like, the or your company has the distribution rights, like, the day-to-day doesn't look really any different than if you're a direct employee of that company, of the product manufacturer. Thoughts on the Stryker acquisition of Wright Medical? that one is, I guess at some level not surprising because Stryker is big in the M&A world. The thing about that, I guess, from my perspective, is Wright Medical owned Tournier, and Tournier is really big in primary and reverse shoulder arthroplasty, and I don't think Stryker was that strong in that space. Like, I haven't sold total shoulders in a little while, so, you know, but I'm not that out of the loop. Stryker is a strong joint company elsewhere. I just don't think that they had a strong shoulder. So now that they're going to have Tournier, that's big for them. I mean, they already had a pretty strong foot and ankle line from a plating perspective, but I don't know their soft tissue game that well for foot and ankle. I mean, Wright Medical has been very strong in foot and ankle for a long time, so I'm sure, you know, it's going to help them. What's interesting to me is there's going to be a lot of crossover of products. So how they're going to kind of break that out, and are they going to get rid of products, or, you know, take on the entire product portfolio? I don't know. I don't know if that might be the only thing that that Wright had. Wright owned Tournier. I don't know if they had anything else. No, still have taken a lot from you, but sales advice in general still is supplier. Cool. Good, man. Good for you. E-Fowl. Are you in MedSales right now? Like, the fact that you're asking about Stryker acquiring Wright Medical tells me that you have an idea what's going on. You have a 10 total joint. Oh, okay. Got it. And I'm always get curious if the corporate side. Yeah, I mean, if you're selling, like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know which joints you're selling and for which company and whatnot, but I mean, I've worked direct for Arthrex, and I've worked as a 1099 for Arthrex, and a 1099 for another distributor carrying a different product line, and now I'm a direct with a startup, and at least the day-to-day is more or less no different for me. What it's really going to come down to is how they're going to compensate you, you know? Like, it may or may not, like, the compensation structure with Arthrex was more or less the exact same, whether I was 1099 or a W-2 employee. But I know for other companies, they might, if you're 1099, you're 100% commission. If you're a direct employee, maybe they'll give you a salary plus commission. But as long as you're selling the products and nobody else can sell them, then I don't see a real issue there. Exact Tech and TriMed Rep. Got it. Exact Tech solid. Do a lot of reverses. I haven't seen it in person, but I'm pretty sure you guys have a real solid base plate for your reverse shoulder. Hey, the Queen, what up? What up? Hamlad, I'm a Jew. Screw that up. Sorry, man. Hey, Mr. Wood. What's going on? Mr. Wood sounds weird. Just stick with Colby. I'm not that old. Not that old. Sounds weird. I also don't think I'm that cool, so I definitely don't deserve the Mr. Wood. Although, like, all of our friends are, like, we and our friends are teaching, like, kids, you just say Mr. and then the first name. Like, so I get Mr. Colby from my friends' kids, but I think that's the only time anybody should be using Mr. with me. Yeah, hips and knees too, but RSA, TSA is the leading product. Yeah. Nice, man. I mean, what's really going to be interesting on the Stryker front with joints is, I assume you're probably seeing a lot of Tournier and competing with Tournier because they've got a good shoulder. The Aquialis, I think, is what it's called. And they've got a couple. Is Stryker's really strong with contracts, and they sell every single thing that freaking exists in a hospital. So, how are they going to be able to bundle in contractually additional products like the 28 line? That'll be interesting. That'll be tough, I would imagine, for you. Just because they have such a economies of scale with how much those facilities are going to be spending with them already. How do you handle the visit frequency? I've had to visit the doctor. Key leader opinion 3 times a month with my company. I have had to visit the doctor. Key leader opinion 3 times a month with my company. Just to clarify, you've had 3 meetings in a month? Like you visited the doctor and met with him 3 times a month, or you're trying to set meetings with this doctor and they're telling you that you have to call on him 3 times a month? Just clarify that first. Also, they both have a total ankle. Yeah. I think Wright's is, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't done a total ankle. I know that they used to be trash, and now they're supposed to be a lot better. I mean, it's hard to replace the talus, you know. But I've heard that the total ankle is getting better. Yeah. I don't know. How are things with ExactTech? I don't know anybody directly who's worked for them, but I've got buddies who have buddies that have worked for them, and some has been positive, some has been negative. They're just kind of up in the air. Just curious what your thoughts are with ExactTech and how long you've been with them. Yeah, right. 3 times a month I have a meeting with him. Isn't it too much? I don't know if it's too much or not. I think it comes like, are they doing that because you're like, are you sitting down and having the same meeting, trying to sell him the same product 3 times a month, and you're going to go in there and talk to him about the same product every time, and he's telling you no? Like, I guess clarify, like, what product are you selling, and are you walking in having the same meeting 3 times in a row in the same month? Like, I can't imagine the doctor would have you back in if that's happening. So if you're able to get in and meet with the doctor multiple times, like, I don't know, it seems like a weird scenario. What can you write a little bit more about kind of the situation? Tiff Web 0507. Who are you? What's your story? What are you in sales? Medical sales? Oh, sorry. Let's scroll back there. Diagnostics, calling on all specialties. Got it. How long have you been doing that? And is that like, what type of diagnostics are you selling? Like, what is the actual product or service that you're selling? How often do you email or text your targets? Obviously don't get text messages early. I don't have a set rule that I follow. I try to minimize texting. To not, like, if somebody is willing to entrust me with their phone number, I'm not going to blow them up on that. I'm certainly more willing to email more frequently. But, like, I guess what I find is, like, doctors only going to give me their phone number once they're already using my product. That's what I've found. Like, I don't have any... This is actually not true, because you switch companies and then you retain some of the numbers, so that's not totally true. But, like, generally speaking, the only doctors that I'm texting would be ones that I'm currently working with. But I guess I have used text to doctors that I've got relationships with already to set a meeting. But I'm not doing, like, follow-up really on text. Like, I'll text them once or twice, but, you know, if that doesn't get me anywhere, I'm not doing any more than that, because I don't want to jeopardize their trust in me having their phone number. And I know that I feel like email's a lot easier way to, it's less intrusive. So, But when I'm trying to get in front of somebody, I'll email. I mean, roughly I would say shoot for once a week or once every 10 days. I mean, it's hard to say because, like, I had a doctor get flat out pissed at me when he saw me in person. He's like, dude, you got to stop stalking me. And I had been reaching out to him, like, you know, once a week or once every 10 days for probably 2 months. But I never got one response from him. And then he was pissed at me, and I'm like, sorry, man. He's like, I know you got a job to do, but, like, obviously I saw your message. I'm like, yeah, no, I totally get it. But I never got a response, so I wasn't sure if they were going to spam or whatever. I would shoot for 7 to 10 days. Every 7 to 10 days, I would follow up. But don't. The way that I would recommend it is act as though they didn't even see the previous email. Like, I think where people go wrong is getting pissed that the customer hasn't responded to them. And, like, you just got to pretend and act like they haven't seen it before. Like, yeah, no problem. Cool. Got it. You know, hey, by the way, I don't know if you saw this, but check this out. Almost the same meeting. Yeah, trying to get more prescriptions. I'm selling a cardiology product. It's really competitive, so I have to deliver more compelling data. I mean, at that point, it only comes down to a couple of things in my mind. Like, why is somebody going to give you the script in that space? Number one, you have a demonstrably better product, and you have the data to back it up. Now, the question is, you might have the data, but the doctor may not care. Like, it sounds good to, like, oh yeah, I've got the best product and I can show you by the clinical data. A lot of doctors don't care. Or at least anecdotally, they've had good experience with the product they're using. So, you know, I would find out, I would be asking the question while you're in there, like, how much, like, obviously you care about outcomes. So, like, how much does the clinical data play into the decision that you are making in who you give this prescription to? Like, you need to find that out, because, like, if you're going back in there trying to just cram data down this doctor's throat, the doctor may be like, I don't give a shit. I use this product right now and I have great results. You know, I don't know. But if you're trying to do the same thing over and over and it's not working, clearly it's probably not the data. Either you might have a slightly better product, but the difference doesn't really matter, or the doctor doesn't care. So then, if it's not clinical, what are the other decision-making factors that they have? Like, you've got to ask that question too. Don't just assume that, like, what those like, just flat out ask, hey, look, I totally understand that any rep can walk in here and present these clinical data and say that ours is better or theirs is better. So, like, you're obviously trying to navigate that, but what other factors are there outside of the clinical literature for you to make a decision on who you give the prescription to? Like, you need to ask those types of questions to figure out what actually matters. Like, if you're saying, you know, deliver more compelling data, I'm assuming that the doctor is, like, telling you, you know, that he needs more compelling data, but that's probably a fake objection. That's probably not the real objection as to why he's not giving it to you. I agree, you don't want to overuse the privilege, but I get a lot of phone numbers after a successful meeting or cases. Some will use me on one-off. But as yeah, I mean, I guess if I were in your shoes and you feel like you have a lot of phone numbers, like, and especially with the doctor that's used your product already and or at least knows your product, like, if you've ever presented the product to the doctor or he's ever used it, or she, then I would use the cell phone numbers as a way to not sell your product. I would use it strictly as a way to build relationships with them. So, like, text them, like, hey, I read this interesting thing about X that's relevant to them. Like, if they may be a partial owner of a surgery center, like, and you read something on cranes or you read some business thing, like, hey, you know, I read this, thought it was interesting about, you know, owning a surgery center, text that to them. Or like ask them to go play golf, ask them to get together on the weekends, ask them, like, I would use, like, I'm just assuming that they are not going to want to be sold to over text. So, like, if you're using it strictly as a way to, like, try to build your relationship with them, I think that can play. I just wouldn't overdo it on texting them saying, hey, will you use my product? Hey, do you have a, like, unless they've given you, free reign to ask, like, for the certain subset of patients that have, a really retroverted glenoid, and we're going to use yours, because you've got a better base plate or something like that, then, by all means, text them and say, hey, do you have any of these patients, on the books, just double checking. But if it's a situation where you've got the number, but, like, they haven't given you a commitment, then clearly it's just, at that point, probably a relationship play. Definitely most of my conversation with things, I know. Interested in sports, CP food, extra. Yeah. I get it. That, there's no real, I don't know of any foolproof way of taking that and making it necessarily any better. If you're doing those things, you're trying to build a relationship and develop that relationship with them, then, you got to do what you got to do with the phone numbers. Do you find that you're successful with that when you're just trying to talk with them about, like, building relationships and sports, TV, etc., things that they're interested in, and not just selling product? Long way down. Feel like you're successful with that? Sorry for all the questions, but I'm bored on a Friday. If you're told during cases how often you get x-rays. I don't sell joints right now, so and shit. Sorry guys. Trying to get my stuff out of the car. Just got home. I don't sell joints currently. And I sold them in the past for Arthrex, but not a ton, because we had a primary shoulder at the time, and that was it. We had just come out with a knee, but nobody was using the knee. You never really want to be I was not really selling that product. So I don't really have a good answer on x-rays. But I know a lot of reps get them frequently and do that for the docs. So, all right, folks. Just got home. Got the bikes up. Put those bikes up. Swag. Got the fat tire bike, mountain bike, my car, wife's car. All right. I think I got to call it a Friday so I can walk inside. Talk to me. I'll hit you up later, eFoul.